right. Good evening, everyone. This is the March 15th, 2022 General Body Meeting for the Baltimore County Democratic State Central Committee. We'll now call the meeting to order at 7:05. Linda, I am going to turn it over to you for roll call.
Okay, good afternoon or good evening, everyone. I'm going to go through the roster, starting with District 6. Corey Edwards.
Here.
Great. Eric Washington.
Here.
Great. Crystal Francis.
Here.
Thanks. Justin Holiday.
Here.
Great. Scott Halupka.
Here.
Thanks. Moving on to District 7, Paul Conca.
Here.
Thanks. Ed Livingston.
Here.
Thank you. Lauren Badoff.
Here.
Thank you. Julie Sugar.
Here.
Thanks. District 8, Harry Benderi. Harry Benderi.
In session.
In session.
Yeah,
Okay. All righty. Elizabeth Brown.
Here.
Thank you. Arjun Hamal. Arjun Hamal. Might be a little late. Okay. Margaret Forte. Margaret Forte. Okay. Nina McHugh. Nina, you there? Nina McHugh. Okay. Moving on to District 10, Danny Blunt.
Present.
Thank you. Jay Jalisi. Douglas Jalisi, no. Senator Kelly, Dolores Kelly. They're all in session, of course. Pat Kelly. Pat Kelly. All right. Daniel Smith.
Here.
Thank you. Alejandra Ivanovich. Alejandra, this is District 11. Linda Dorsey Walker here. John Herbst. John Herbst. No. Vanessa Carrington. Vanessa? No. Tracy Miller. Tracy Miller. All right. District 12, Robert Benjamin.
Tracy's here. She was muted.
Here's on mute.
Okay. Robert Benjamin.
Here, I am here.
Okay, great. Tara Ebersol.
Present.
Thank you. Sam Moxley. Sam Moxley. Yes, no? Not yet. I think Mark Weaver sent me a message that he would not be attending tonight. Jason Garber, 42A.
Jason's going to be a little late.
Okay. Scott Sokol.
He won't be here today.
Hey, so this is Julie Sugar. I just wanted to let you know that Scott had a kidney transplant yesterday, and I actually spoke with him today. He's in the hospital, and he's doing well. Just want to let everybody know. So your prayers will be welcome.
That's he's got our prayers, got mine.
Awesome.
Anyway.
Definitely let them know we
That's,
have them in our
that's
prayers.
fantastic. That's
Right.
Thank you.
fantastic. All right. Jeff Bonner from 42B. Jeff? Not yet? Okay, Katie Dott,
She's not going to be here today.
not going to be here today. Ann George, 42B. Is Ann with us? Ann George.
She might be late. I think she has another meeting that might be going long.
Okay. So moving on, let's see. The 44B, Bishop Barry Chapman.
Here.
Thank you. Aisha Khan. Thought I saw Aisha. No, not yet. George White.
Here.
Thank you. Charles Sidnor.
Yeah.
Charles Sidnor, Senator Sidnor. Not here. For our at-large members, Ruben Amaya. Ruben here. Nia Duggins. Nia Duggins. Cheryl Gottlieb. Does anyone see Cheryl? Okay. Ratsita Gray. Ratsita. I see you.
Here.
Thank you. Sime Kendra.
Here.
Thank you. Tamira Lucas.
Here.
Thank you. Danita Tolson. Danita. Anyone see her? Nope. Associate member Mark Brewster.
Present.
Thank you. Joan Mangy. Joan? No. Nina Phillipson? Nana Phillipson? Charles Smith? Charles Smith here? Bonnie Smith?
Here.
Thank you. Gary English? Gary here? Cornelius Jennings? Neil, are you here? David Williams?
Here.
Thanks, Dave. And Sebastian? Sitting. Sebastian? Okay. So if you entered after you think I may have called your name, please let me know.
Hi, it's Nia. Good evening, everyone. I'm here, Linda.
Okay. Nia?
And it's Tracy. Robert Benjamin said that he saw me, but I am really here
Okay. I've got you.
and not muted. I just think it's spring and such a nice day.
Okay. All right. Well, if any of you see anyone else that has come in, please let me know or put it in the chat so that I can update this. It does appear, however, that we have a quorum.
Great. Did you get Corey Edwards? Because he's just entering.
All righty.
Okay. All right. So we will begin. I am going to push the administrative items back just a little bit because we do have a special guest, someone who we all know who's doing an awesome job leading our county. County Executive Johnny O is here with us today. He also has, I see Brad out here in the audience as well. Thank you so much for joining. We all know our county executive does not need a special introduction. So I am going to turn it right over to him for remarks, greetings, and to talk a little bit about what's in store for 2022 as it relates to him and his candidacy for county executive again. Over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening to everyone. It is wonderful to see so many friendly faces. I first just want to thank each and every one of you for all that you're doing for Democrats up and down the ballot. Back in 2018, in the midterms and the historic election of President Biden and Vice President Harris. We are so lucky that to have all of you on the Central Committee doing this work, leading not just in your communities, but across the county. It's been an honor to, over the past just over 3 years now, accomplish so much with so many of you, to have worked with you on whether it's a board or a commission or a work group, or to see you at the town halls that we're having. We are really transforming the way business is done in Baltimore County. And I have to say, it is really in no small measure because of all of you and the work that you're doing. The transformative change that we're seeing is very much directly tied to what you all do day in and day out in your respective districts, but also collectively as an organization. Those of you who know me know that taking full advantage and realizing our fullest potential has started with making sure local government is open, responsive, and connected to our residents. And we know that when people drive the conversation, we really can make a difference. And I think it's fair to say that communities now feel more empowered and at the table than they have in a very long time. Going back to our first month in office, we introduced major ethics reform. We created the county's first ever Office of the Inspector General, an office we've continued to grow every year since. We've strengthened our lobbying laws. And with many of your support, we've created a public financing system for local elections for county executive, county council. We've launched our now signature town hall series. We've since engaged thousands of residents in the process. Prior to our election, there were 2 people who testified in the 2 years prior. And now we've had thousands of people come out and learn about the budget, and hundreds of our residents engage. Our next town hall is in District 1. We do them in all 7 districts. We'll be at CCBC Catonsville tomorrow night. So those of you who are free, whether you're a District 1 resident or not, we'd love to see you there. We're also making government open by doing things like having the county's first ever data-driven performance management system, our BC Stat team. We've put our budget online so that residents can, down to the check, see where our resources are going. And we stood up an Office of Community Engagement so that every district has a dedicated representative. Because of your support and because of what you all have done for me to help get here, we've been able to make sure that education has been top of the agenda for Baltimore County. You all know, if you know anything about me, right, you know that it's a passion of mine as a former county teacher, as now as a parent of a BCPS kindergartner. I see my daughter off to the bus every day just outside our door, happens to be the street's bus stop, but it's really a passion of mine. It's a top priority as county executive. That's why this year's budget alone includes over $40 million over and above the state required maintenance of effort, which is the largest real dollar increase in Baltimore County's history. We're doing everything from keeping teachers from being cut when we had classes, when we had our enrollment drop during the pandemic, so that we have smaller class sizes as we return to school. We fully funded steps and COLAs for our BCPS staff. We worked with the school system to use ARP funding to raise pay for our school bus drivers and to use ways to eliminate those pre-employment barriers so we could hire more of them. And so we will continue to support education in the years ahead. It's both what happens in the classroom, but also the infrastructure. I spent my entire teaching career in a trailer, so I know firsthand how important it is to have quality learning environments. And so thanks to your support and the opportunity to serve, we've been able to put forward hundreds of millions of dollars for finishing the Schools for Our Future program, for having a plan in this year's budget to ensure that every school is air conditioned. And we're laying the groundwork to continue our progress. 4 years ago, we committed to raise the bar for all of our schools, and we committed that we would figure out solutions for Lansdowne, Delaney, and Towson. But we've been able to deliver on that promise without underinvesting in other schools. And we've also said that equity is a North Star. And so we're raising the bar for all of our schools across Baltimore County. So we both have a $2.5 billion plan for investment in every single school through the My iPass, which is fully paid for. But we're also making sure that we are going further, not only doing the things of My iPass of ending the need for trailers within a decade, investing in STEM and CTE, community schools, special and alternative schools, but we're raising the bar. And we're going to do more for all of our older high schools. We're going to do more for our elementary and middle schools. We're going to invest in pre-K and school safety. And I want to just thank Speaker Jones and our House and Senate partners who have been such great advocates for additional school resources, so that we've been able to not have to compromise. And I was very clear that we want to invest more in all of our schools, but it can't be at the expense of any community. And so in the year ahead and in this budget, you're going to see continued and sustained investment in schools around the Beltway so that the standard of excellence is true for all of our kids and all of our communities. Safe communities is another top priority for ours, and it's one of the most important responsibilities. I'm proud to report that crime is trending down in Baltimore County. Year over year, Part 1 violent crime was down 18% over last year, and that's due in large part to the work of our men and women in law enforcement, who also have a well above the national average clearance rate of 81%. We also work with many of you to pass the SAFE Act to keep stolen guns out of the hands of criminals. But we also know that it's important that we make those upstream investments in our communities, that we invest in mental health resources, more in our schools, recreation and parks, investing in job opportunities and job training. All of these investments are also neighborhood safety investments. And so thank you for allowing us the opportunity to do that. We also know that as we support and protect public safety, we have an obligation to make sure we get law enforcement right. And so again, thanks to many of you, we were able to pass the first police reform legislation in the region. We passed the Smart Policing Act, where we banned chokeholds and required implicit bias training and de-escalation, and we stopped the practice of allowing hiring anyone who had a disciplinary record. So we want to thank you for that too, because I think we can both support safety in our communities and support policing done right. Also, because of your efforts, we've made historic investments in rec and parks and open space and sustainability, $75 million this year. It's the most than I think the county's ever done. It's more than the last 6 years combined. We have a 100% goal for green energy. We're working with BGE to install EV charging stations across the county, and we're reducing our carbon footprint to better protect the environment. Another cool program that we kicked off was Retree Baltimore County. It's a goal of reaching a 40% tree canopy by going into communities that have been underserved for far too long with environmental investment. So really proud to see how Baltimore County is becoming a statewide leader on sustainability and the environment as well. I could talk all night, Madam Chair and members, but I just want to say, if you look at anything we've done, whether it's bringing back bulk trash pickup, starting the first ever fixed ride service with the Towson Loop that's now had over 12,000 riders, passing the Home Act to ban housing discrimination by source of income. Time and again, we're trying to deliver, and we're doing it because and with all of you. We had a long way to go, and none of this even touches on the pandemic response, which has been hailed as one of the best in the state, but it wouldn't be possible. None of this would be possible on delivering on all these without you. And so it's time for us to continue to rise above the expectations. I ran with a very ambitious agenda, but we have to, and we will keep setting the bar higher with you. So I think that both between what the pandemic did, it really sort of highlighted for me that we have to aspire to not just return to normal, but get back on track by aspiring to where we should have always been. And so that's what our really campaign is about, taking our better Baltimore County to the next level. And I know with all of you, we're going to do that. We're going to elect good Democrats who are going to support us at the local level and the state level and the federal level, up and down the ticket, because I know that working together, there's no limit to what's possible. So with all that said, I hope you all will stay and be a part of our journey. I'm here to work with this amazing committee to make sure that we're giving the resources necessary, the office space, the finances, whatever we need to get the job done up and down. Please know that we're here to work with you, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. So with that, I will, as appropriate, Madam Chair, I'm happy to take a few questions, or otherwise just happy to listen in on some of the meeting. But just thank you all so much for all that you do day in and day out, and for your continued support of what we're doing here in Baltimore County.
Yes, thank you so much. We do have time for some questions. So if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature and I will call on you and you can ask your question. George, I see you posted your question in the chat. Did you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. County Exec, I just want to know, how can we increase the pay for our substitute teachers? Because a lot of our good teachers are getting away from us and they aren't coming back, but it's almost like out of sight, out of mind. And I know that's not part of your plan, but
yep.
what can we do to kind of hold some of our teachers along with pay? Pay would be a good start.
Yeah, George, that's a great question. And actually, I started as a sub and then a long-term sub before I was hired as a teacher in Baltimore County. So I can relate to the pay for subs being way too low. I don't know that we've raised it much since I was serving in that role. But yeah, we have to invest in our people. And, as I think about the budget that's been submitted and what we're going to put forward, my focus for both the school system and also for county government is investing in the people that we have so that we keep them, and that we're investing to raise the bar for the positions that are vacant. So Baltimore County Public Schools unfortunately has, I believe, several hundred open and funded but vacant positions, whether it's, substitute teachers, instructional assistants, bus drivers. You sort of run the gamut, right, of all the services. And we have far too many vacancies. I think the best thing we can do is raise the pay, raise the benefits, raise the support so that the positions that are supposed to be filled actually get filled first. Not that we won't think about other needs. I know certainly the pandemic has proven that we have a lot of mental health and behavioral health supports that we need to put out there in the community, but really trying to raise the bar. And I think substitute teachers is a perfect example. It's been such an important part for me. And it really, a good substitute teacher is a difference between, the rest of the school being able to focus on their lessons and their kids, or having to do coverage and not have that time to do planning and grading and all the other necessary things. So we're on it, but thank you for raising it.
All right. Danielle Smith.
Good evening, County Executive, and thank you for everything that you do. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay. So my question is, I know there was a meeting yesterday, I wasn't able to make it, but it was regarding some of the violence that is going on in the schools. So what are some of the plans to keep the SROs in the school? I think they're not there now, but what are some of the plans to bring them to the schools and have some of them specifically trained, have some social workers into the schools or some psychologists, because we all know that a lot of the inequities have exacerbated along with COVID, and that COVID also has a lot of neurological side effects. And some kids were already dealing with some things because of the different issues they were dealing with at home. So now everyone's been home, locked up, you stuck with your kids. Parents never know they had to do all this stuff with their kids or with their significant others and spouses. So what are some of the things that we're doing to help our babies out in the school, and then also get some of those SROs to stay there and not have to arrest the children, but know how to deal? So more of the community policing in that respect, and then also to the sizes of schools. For example, case in point, Deer Park Middle School has 1,600 students. They have 4 lunch periods. So we can factor in how many kids that is in there eating with their mask off during school. So that causes a whole nother issue. So just those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll start on the school size and then I'll get to the school safety, sort of working backwards. So this is why the My iPass as the baseline was so important. We engaged tens of thousands of residents, and we had outside experts come in and give us an unbiased plan to make sure that all of our kids' needs were met, and that we were looking at school capacity, equity, and educational programming. It's why Superintendent Williams and I were fully aligned in the need for that to be the baseline of anything that we do for all of our communities. And so things like open schools and the trailers and trying to make sure we have capacity, that was all part of the plan. It won't be perfect, but I think in the next 15 years, we're going to see a transformation in terms of our school conditions. And I believe there's pretty significant dollars for Deer Park, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have Brad on my team follow up with you, Danielle, to make sure that we're getting that right. We can give you the levels of investment. We'll also go over for D4 with Chairman Jones. We'll have some specifics about all the schools, both in this past year, but also what's ahead. You're absolutely right. School safety has to be holistic. I'll tell you, my experience with the SRO was Officer Ray, Tamara Ray. I'll never forget her. She was an incredible officer, but she was first and foremost just a friend with the kids at Patapsco High School, where I was teaching. She was the coach of the step squad. And I remember her more for coaching those kids in step and coming in and teaching alongside me on things like search and seizure and actually telling kids their rights relative to police and being policed equitably. So that there are ways that we can do it right. And so we still do have the SRO program in Baltimore County. They have not been pulled. They are present. But I think ensuring that we're training these individuals so that these are about positive interactions, and that we're also wrapping around our kids and our families with those support structures, the pupil personnel workers, the counselors, the social workers. I believe that when I ran for office, it was like we had more than one counselor for every 1,000 students. We have significantly chipped away at that. We're trying to get to, I think the standard is more like 1 to 250. We're not quite there yet, but we are making progress on those ratios for counselors, but also for social workers and pupil personnel workers, things that we just have underinvested in the past. But again, as you pointed out, the pandemic has highlighted the need that we surround not just our children, but our family with these support structures so that they can thrive in the schoolhouse and learn things like dispute resolution and so that things don't get to the point, and have class sizes that are manageable for a teacher so that we can, identify issues before they escalate and get in there and do something about it. But all points I totally agree with.
And thank you. I purposely asked that because there are many people there. I participated in the iPass program, and thank you for having it so you can have the community engaged. But there was some different rumors, and so people wanted to hear what was the status of that. So thank you for clarifying that.
Absolutely.
All right. I will have Linda Dorsey Walker, Tracy Miller, and then Danny Blunt in that order. Linda, make sure you unmute.
I said I had a couple of questions. First question is about, of course, environment. That's my issue. I wanted to find out if you are considering doing something that I've suggested a couple of times, which is to try some new types of lighting that are in our public spaces so that we can save a tremendous, it would come to approximately $98 per light per month if you change the over to solar lighting in some places. And I have, as sitting on a couple of different steering committees for revitalization of the Randallstown and Owings Mills area, I've made it known that I think that it would be a good place to do a pilot for that kind of thing, more solar energy on rooftops and also on parking lot lights and other types of street lighting. It would be a tremendous savings to the county. In addition to that, in addition to answering where we now stand toward meeting our state obligation, which I think we're supposed to meet by 2030, how close are we now to meeting it? And then the other question is about providing more job opportunities for older people who are retired. George touched on it. About 2 or 3 years ago, I actually did a little checking because I heard several people complaining about the low wages for substitute teachers. Baltimore County, the state of Maryland rather, was number 47 from out of 50 states. Why are we down in any territory that includes Mississippi and Alabama? We should never be in their territory, never, ever. We're one of the wealthiest states in the country, and Baltimore County is a wealthy place. And I think that we need to provide, more income for seniors and more job opportunities for those who have already had a career somewhere else, but decide they want to do something else. Can you address both of those questions?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll try to work backwards just because it's easier to have the thing most fresh in my mind. Absolutely got to do more to support those job opportunities for our seniors or those who are in school trying to sort of, work a part-time opportunity. So, I mean, and if it's a government job, it should be a little more sustaining. And so we're also taking a hard look at our budget to try to get to the $15 an hour minimum wage sooner than we want to try to accelerate that. We've been, I supported the increase at the state, which I know is ultimately phased in, but I'm trying to lead by example this year and say in Baltimore County, we want to get to that $15 an hour if we can in this year's budget, a couple of years ahead of when the state absolutely requires it. But we should be doing a sweep of all the jobs to try to find opportunities. So if there are, positions outside of substitute teacher that you or George or others want us to take a look at, please let us know, and we will likewise take a look at those. On solar lights. Absolutely, I think a pilot makes sense. One of the things that we know is that it's actually one of the most, street lights are one of the biggest drivers of energy spending from local governments across the board. This is one of the things that actually BC Stat proved for us, so we can quantify how much we're spending and what the impact is. So we actually are taking advantage. BGE has some obligations to reduce usage. So they've been funding conversions to LED street lights, which use significantly less power. That's not the same as having power generated by solar. So obviously, if we can find a way to have it be sort of restorative and ongoing, I think we'd welcome the chance to look at a solar pilot somewhere to sort of demonstrate the utility there. And if I haven't connected you with our new sustainability person, Jennifer Aosa, we will make sure we do that along with, again, with our administrative officer, Stacy Rogers. So, and finally, I'll just say it was a blessing to see you in church this past Sunday. So thank you for the opportunity to worship with you.
And my mom enjoyed interacting with you.
Oh, she was the best.
Yes. Thank you.
Tracy and Danny, those are the last questions because our next speaker is here.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. This is probably a dreaded question, but redistricting. My understanding is that the judge rejected what the county council decided was a fair map, and that many people don't think that what they thought was fair was fair. So where are we now? I heard it had to be redrawn.
So I'm not part. I mean, and the county is technically party to the lawsuit. I am not. I guess first let me say these maps should absolutely reflect the diversity of our county, and that this administration has been committed. Whether it's our appointments, our commissions, we are committed to reflecting that diversity. I think what's interesting, Tracy, is a lot of people think that I had a role or have a role in the map making process, and I neither had any role in designing. I didn't have a chance to veto or approve, and I have not been actively involved in any of the conversations around the lawsuit. So I candidly am unaware of the status of the maps, the most recent map submission, if the judge has ruled or what the next steps are. So. I honestly don't know the answer to the question.
Well, I believe you and I thank you.
Yeah, sure thing.
Danny?
Yes, good evening. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, Tracy took a little of my thunder there. I was going to ask the same question. I do have a couple other questions. One of the questions I have, County Executive, has to do with county water issues. Water coming, broken lines, water popping up in the roads, and how long of a turnover that is to get things fixed. You call the county, and the county said it's a city issue. You call the city said it's a county issue. We still have water running on Winans Road between Deer Park and Murraysville Road that's been running for over a month. I spoke to Jim Dorn, Jamie, Tom, utilities, and these things are still going on. They say they do have a contractor in Baltimore City.
So Danny, this is Winans between Deer Park and Marysville, is that what you said?
Between Deer Park and Murraysville Road, right in a community called 12 Trees. I've been dealing with this thing for almost a month now, going back and forth. Now, we had some issues in Hernwood as well, but I was able to get those resolved. The city sent out a contractor called R.E. Harrington and Sons. You may be familiar with them, but they're the contractors that come in and kind of fix stuff. But it's something needs to be really looked at so this can be resolved at a quicker pace. Water is just running on the streets as we speak.
My administrative officer, Stacy Rogers, and our director of Public Works and Transportation, DeAndrea Walker, will be getting an email from me immediately after I log off here.
And have them forward me. Can I get CC'd on that, please?
Yes, sir. We'll make sure we get you cut. Can you just set
I can send it. Yeah, I can send it to you as a follow-up to Brad. Can I send it?
Yeah.
Sure,
There's another serious hole that's forming at Pikeswood and Liberty Road at a sewer cap. and it's not solid under there. That's going to turn into a sinkhole.
Yeah.
So
It is
Linda,
going to turn. It's next to the police substation, right across
Okay.
from Colonial Baptist Church. Huge hole forming. And
Crystal, yeah, if you
it's
just
got
send me
to be addressed
both
too.
Danny's and Linda's and get the best email, I will both send it and I will copy both of them. If you can just get it to Brad, we'll get it out. If not tonight, first thing in the morning. You were right, Danny, to identify part of the challenge is that the city always points back at us, but the truth of the matter is they actually own the entire system. We're their biggest customer.
Yep.
We pay for half of all the repairs through our water and sewer bills. But because of the structure, this thing was created decades ago when
Absolutely.
the city was larger than the county. Functionally, from an operational perspective, the city has full governing authority over the water system. So the good news is like a well-timed call from the AO to the AO or the county executive to the mayor can get a project moving.
Yes.
But ultimately, we do rely on the city and their contractors to be out and get these projects done. What we have done sometimes is we've asked for permission to hire our own, and then we have to fight over whether or not they're going to split the bill with us. But at least sometimes they give us permission when they get so backed up that we just say we're going to try to take matters into our own hands. But that's sort of been there is some tension and some push and pull on our ability to govern our own water system in the county. But I will make sure that those two are addressed promptly.
And that goes back to infrastructure issues, old infrastructure issues that's not going away. That needs to be addressed, whether it's Baltimore City or Baltimore County. These things are going to happen when the weather drops below zero or whatever, it's going to break. The other question I had, County Executive, is your staffing of code enforcement inspectors. And another thing that George alluded to was about crossing guards, and are you up to par with those as well?
The police department is always looking for more crossing guards. So if anyone's looking for a job there, we may have to add that to what the salary structure is. Yeah. But I know that there are definitely positions on crossing guards. I believe that we're in the process of hiring a few more code enforcement officers. I can have Brad check. I know that we added 6 or 8 in last year's budget because we heard from community members that they wanted more proactive code relationships, and not always necessarily like just a citation, but people to actually go out and start proactively saying, hey, let's work on getting these lids on trash cans so we don't have rats, or let's get this tall grass resolved. In addition to those new positions, we also created a revolving fund for derelict property. So if a house gets cited and has a lien, but they don't act, we pull from that fund to go cut the grass or stabilize a property. And then when the lien gets paid later down the road, that money gets replenished. So that program has actually been working out pretty well for several properties throughout Baltimore County. But we know that code has been a big deal, and we're going to try to keep investing in that as well.
Thank you.
Can I ask just one quick question before you leave? I know we have to go, but this is something that everyone talks about in Baltimore County. Is there something we can do about the landlords who own these properties that have been vacant for 20 and 30 years, such as what's going on Security Square Mall and some of the other places? Yep. And I know I can't talk about all the characters with eminent domain, but if it was someone else, they would take the properties. They're just holding on to these properties, which are depleting some of these communities when they could be used to enhance the communities. And then also make sure you have people check and monitor their water bills. Because a lot of times I had owned some properties in the city and all of that running water has to be paid for. And a lot of times they shut it off on the individual homeowners. And a lot of people have lost their homes over water bills. In the process, you got to wait 3 months or 90 days before you talk about this to talk about that with the water bill. So that's another big issue, especially for our senior citizens who are not big advocates of themselves. They don't know what to do and they're afraid. So if someone could be an advocate to talk to them, and sometimes you got to meet people where they are, have something where them or some of their family members can talk to them regarding their water bills.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Amen on that. And then on security, I'm working with Speaker Jones We're gonna put forward. We're both trying to find capital resources from both the state and potentially the local government to really go into that property and transform it. There are the two pad sites where the old Bennigan's and the other, they're actually, that's getting raised soon. It's coming down. And we have two new exciting restaurants that are coming in, not gas stations, restaurants on those sites. And then we're going to try to use additional state and local investments to really transform the rest of that property. But we're going to see more progress there than I think we've seen in many, many years, which is hopefully just a first step. But working closely with the speaker, Senator Kelly, the other delegates and representatives from both 44B and 10, Councilman Quirk, Councilman Jones, sort of the whole. I know everyone. It's been a very, but we're on it. I think there's going to be some good progress there. On the vacant point, actually talked to Director Hickey and Director Gutwald today about DHCD and PAI or code enforcement about we're doing an inventory now in Baltimore County of where are all the vacants, and then the next steps are going to be creating a registry that people actually have to say, I have a vacant property after so long, and then we're going to start trying to figure out how do we then clean up or maybe even use some of these opportunities to create more home ownership opportunities down the road. So you're like you're sort of seeing the future there.
Charging some higher taxes.
Yeah, and hopefully you're going to bring a Texas Roadhouse to this side of the county. So we don't
And a Starbucks.
have to go to the other side of the county.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. Yeah, looking forward to again this cycle and hopefully 4 more years of continued progress together in Baltimore County. But thank you all so much for the opportunity.
And thank you for coming. All right, our next speaker is here. He is also not a guest. We know him very well. He's a past chair of the Baltimore County Democratic State Central Committee. He's also currently the secretary for the Maryland Democratic Party, and he's also a candidate running for Baltimore County State's Attorney. Without further ado, I turn it over to our next speaker, Robbie Leonard. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, everybody, for having me here. It's so good to see all of your beautiful faces or your beautiful names if you choose not to be seen. I know what you look like anyway. Thanks for having me. And I am Robbie Leonard, for those of you who don't know me. As Crystal stated, I was the chair of the Central Committee from about 2015, 2016. And a lot of you served with me, and we got a lot done. And I get to watch Crystal now just go way beyond what I was able to do. And I know it's because of all of you. So I really appreciate all of you guys. Now I'm going to give you my spiel, and a lot of you have already heard it before because you're all in different clubs and you're in different communities that I spoke to because you're all out doing the work. But let me tell you about why I'm running for Baltimore County State's Attorney. And maybe you guys have already talked about it in this meeting. The June primary has been pushed back to July 19th. So we've got more days to put in the work. We're not waiting until then. We've already started and we're working for it. This is going to be your first race in the state's attorney's race that you get to choose your Democrat since 2006. The incumbent who's in office now was first elected in 2006, has never been challenged by a Democrat. He's never been challenged by a Republican since 2010. We just got a Republican filed yesterday. So this is going to be an exciting race all the way through November. So, why did I decide to take this race on since nobody has in the past 16 years? Is it because nobody wanted to do it? Nobody felt like they could do it? I started my career as an assistant public defender in Baltimore City, and I worked my way up to be on the government relations team and represent the entire state of Maryland's Office of the Public Defender in Annapolis, where I testified on legislation every day in the Judiciary Committee, the Judicial Proceedings Committee. And, we were working on repealing the death penalty then, decriminalizing marijuana, all different kinds of ways of working with our Democrats in office and trying to make a more fair, equitable, transparent justice system that works. We've seen a justice system over the past decades that frankly hasn't worked. And I want to work towards repairing it and make it better. And that's when I first met our incumbent state's attorney down in Annapolis, because every time I'd be testifying on one side, he'd be testifying on another. And I found out when I became chair of the Central Committee, he was a Democrat. And I thought, we don't have anything in common. We don't fight for the same things. And, fast forward to about a year or so ago, when the murder of George Floyd activated so many of you and thousands and tens of thousands of people across this country demanding change. How can we fix this justice system? And you saw people like Chairman Julian Jones and Speaker Adrian Jones listening to your calls for action, writing excellent legislation for meaningful police reform and criminal justice reform. And about a year and a half ago, I was one of 52 members with so many of you all who signed up to testify in support of Julian Jones's police reform bill. And, police reform, not some crazy radical thing. We're talking about things like banning chokeholds. It was in 2013 when Randallstown teenager Christopher Brown was choked to death by a police officer who was not convicted of any crimes. A teenager who threw rocks at someone's house, and the police officer chased him down into the bushes and choked him to death. So the police reform that Julian Jones and Speaker Jones put together, banning chokeholds, bias training. There's subconscious bias in all of us. And teaching police officers how to recognize that, how to improve. De-escalation training. When you arrive to a scene, and a lot of times when the police show up, it's a chaotic situation. That's why people call 911. Training police officers just to lower the temperature so it doesn't end up in a fatal shooting from anybody. And so about a year and a half ago, it was July the other year, when I was in favor of the bill, it was Mr. Schellenberger, our current state's attorney, and the Fraternal Order of Police president were the two people against it, testifying against what our community was demanding and what our elected officials were fighting for. And that was really the turning point for me when I decided that, even though everybody else is giving our state's attorney a free pass, I can't do it any longer. After the murder of George Floyd, I could not watch a state's attorney who's a Democrat fighting against our elected Democrats in office who are trying to fight for meaningful reform to save lives and to have a safer community. So I talked to a lot of my friends, I talked to a lot of my supporters, and we thought that this would be the best decision to really change Baltimore County. And I'm running it as a Democrat because I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be a Democrat. And I just came from the DNC winter meeting this past weekend. And every single speaker, from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris to Senator Markey, everyone was talking about meaningful criminal justice reform. And I believe in these issues, and I want to fight for these issues. Aside from legislation, things haven't been going well here in Baltimore County. One thing that I ask people, whichever side of the county I'm on, people who I don't know, and I'm talking to a room of 40 people that I've never met before, I just say, hey, what's this neighborhood like? In the past 16 years, has your neighborhood gotten safer? And no one says it has. I say, has it gotten worse? Is there more crime? Everybody says it has. Last year, we had 54 homicides in Baltimore County. It was a record. We've never seen that many homicides ever in the history of Baltimore County. It was a 64% increase from the year before. And the record we set in 2021 beat the record we set in 2019. So we're continuing to set homicide records in Baltimore County. And we've had the same chief law enforcement officer for the past 16 years. So I think it's time to bring new ideas, new visions to lower the homicide rate, lower the crime rate in Baltimore County, and work with our Democrats in office, not against them. I just had a debate with Mr. Schellenberger last week at University of Maryland Law School. And he said, he was asked the easiest question, which was, Baltimore County is a purple county. What are you going to do to make sure that Democrats get elected in November? And he said, well, I wish that we could take the D's and R's off of our name and I don't have to run as a Democrat. I wish I could run as a nothing. That's what I would do. And that's just not the right answer. Okay. We have to believe that our Democratic Party fights for the issues that the people believe in. We all in this room have to believe that Democratic Party, the elected officials that we elect, believe in fairness, that we should not have two separate justice systems, one for African Americans and one for white people, one for people without money, one for people with money. We as a party need to believe in equal justice. And that's why I'm proud to be a Democrat, and I'm proud to be running as a Democrat because I am a Democrat. I'm not going to be testifying against rape kit bills by Shelley Heddleman like Scott Schellenberger did. I'm not going to be testifying against police reform and criminal justice reform. And I'm going to be working with our police and community to bring down crime. So those are the things that I believe in. I'm going to be having a happy hour tomorrow in Pikesville at Jilly's from 5 to 8 p.m. I'd love to see you all there. I'll send you a link if you need me to send you one. And I'm here to answer any questions from you guys.
Thank you so much, Robbie. So as customarily done, please use the raise hand feature and I will call on you in the order in which I see you to ask your questions. Okay, I see Linda's hand first and then Danielle Smith in that order. Please unmute, Linda. You're back on mute. Okay.
Just wanted to clarify that Christopher Brown, who I thought of as a godson, since I've known him since he was 3 years old, that he was not responsible for throwing any rocks when his life was snatched away from him at the hands of a Baltimore County police officer who has still not been fired, who Mr. Schellenberger did not require take any hate management or anger management courses, who is making much more money today, working still for Baltimore County Police than he was before. And there's no explanation for why he was not relieved of his duties years ago. And this is now several years, almost 8 years since all of this happened. And I just want to say that prior to that, I had given, as many of you know, several statewide law enforcement conferences involving 400 police officers, sheriff's office staff, FBI, Homeland Security officers for 4 years in a row. And at each one of those conferences, Scott Schellenberger spoke. And he was in the midst of planning another appearance at another one of my conferences, but I have lost all confidence in him, having not taken the action he needed to take at an appropriate time to bring justice to the erratic, irrational snatching away of the life of Christopher Brown. So,
Linda, I'm really sorry, Linda, for the loss of that child who's important to you. And, you know, we saw the same thing with Corinne Gaines, you know, and a lot of these situations, you know, they're not easy. Okay. And you can say some people put themselves in a certain situation, but that's where we talk about this like de-escalation training and bias training. And there are certain standards that we have in the law where sometimes law enforcement is going to be held accountable for committing criminal acts. You know, Corinne Gaines was shot in the back. She was shot through a wall, a police officer who was overheated because they turned off the air conditioning in the building because they wanted to make it uncomfortable for her. So she would leave the apartment to be served a warrant. And it turned out that the police officers, who were all in body armor, you know, completely covered, wearing helmets and body armor, one of the police officers was just sick of waiting for her. And he thought he had a clear shot where he could shoot through a wall and shoot her. And he ended up shooting her son, Cody, in the face and shooting her to death in the back. And Scott Schellenberger cleared that officer. And a Baltimore County jury, when there was a civil lawsuit against that police officer, and the jury heard all of the police officer's testimony, they awarded, you know, the family of Corinne Gaines and Cody Gaines several $1 million. I think it was over $80 million. And every single year we see multi-million dollars handed over of taxpayer money because of these police involved shootings that could be handled differently. Now, I'm not running a campaign of just let's charge every police officer and we got to send police to jail, but we just have to have accountability, right? We have to have a fair justice system that holds people accountable for breaching a standard of duty that sometimes rises to a criminal level, and which hasn't been happening in Baltimore County. And I'll just, end this question with, you talk about where Mr. Schellenberger makes his appearances and giving his speeches. This coming Saturday, March 19th, Scott Schellenberger is going to be the headline guest at a fundraiser for the Republican women of Baltimore County at the Marriott in Hunt Valley. If you have $30, you can attend their luncheon, and that money will be going towards helping elect Republicans and beat Democrats this November. And Scott is their headline guest. So
let's pick it. Let's pick it. Get those signs out, Linda. Let's get. I tell you, we need some publicity for you. I've got my hand up. Can I talk a minute?
Hold on, Ann. We got one person ahead of you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Danielle. And then Ann, you're after Danielle. Danielle Smith. Unmute yourself. Danielle.
Okay, hello. So I was trying to get the number of the bill. So we are an organization, I'm a part of, Black Women for Positive Change. We have been for the last 5 years working on a de-escalation bill with Congresswoman Gwen Moore. We've had certain meetings on the Hill and all, and trying to get some of these representatives to support the bill. And this bill talks about exactly what you're talking about, working with the hospitals, especially the emergency rooms, the rec centers, the schools, because of the heightened situation with people just getting angry and fighting. And then especially since in the minority communities, people are a little apprehensive about calling the police because they may get shot themselves. So what they're trying to find is ways to de-escalate the situation and teach them how to get this done prior to making that decision of calling a police officer or giving them time or having a social worker or domestic violence individual there to help them. So I was trying to pull it up. My system is acting kind of slow. I'll make sure I'll get all that information to you. And I will also invite you to speak on a Zoom with some of the other members across the country as well who are supporting that. And then also too, we've had several calls with Schellenberger on with the Carl Nelson show. And so I would love to invite you to come and talk to the people. And these calls were supposed to last about 30 minutes and they last about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it was during the time with Karen, and people were really, really upset. So you may want to go in there and, just give your spill on what you would do, what kind of change you make, or just listen to what people have to say. So this is not an endorsement. It's more so like I'm all about informing and educating the voter, because 50,000 people can come out there and vote, but if they don't know why and what their purpose is and how it affects them directly or indirectly, a lot of them don't even make it to the polls. So I would like to offer that to you as well.
That's Cole Nelson, C-O-L-E?
Carl, I'm sorry, Carl, K-A-R-L.
Okay, I'm going to reach out to you.
So it's a nationally syndicated show.
Okay, I'll definitely reach out
to you. So I can
you.
set you up with that. And then also to invite you to some of these meetings, and we can, because of, like we said before, and people have been saying, this COVID is a neurological issue. So people are all over the place. You can drive, you can go to the store, you just have to watch yourself everywhere now. So we really need to work on this de-escalation thing here.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point with the schools. That's kind of been a hot topic this past year with the we'll just call it violence in schools, and the juveniles that were at Towson Center getting into fights, and 6 people got arrested there. When I talk to parents who've got kids in schools now, they all say that when schools were closed for a year or more, a lot of these kids just forgot how to socialize. A lot of these kids just forgot how to act, and it's a problem that they didn't create. Like hey, the schools needed to close because of COVID. We did the safe thing by closing schools, but we've seen the unintended consequences of school closures and keeping kids at home without things to do. There have been learning loss. They're behind academically. They're behind psychologically. And if I'm going to be the chief prosecutor of Baltimore County, you want somebody who recognizes these things and don't just look at these kids as criminals and trying to put them in the criminal justice system, but talking about what can we do at the schools to make them better for our kids, whether putting in additional social workers or counselors or mental health specialists, instead of just going straight to school resource officers taking the kids to juvenile justice center. So I'd love to talk to you more about that, Danielle, but I see we got other hands up.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll go to Ann George.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to tell you, I'm on Robbie's team for election, and we need to get, he needs two things. He needs to get his name out, at least with recognition, and he's doing everything he can. And he also needs money. We're having that fundraiser tomorrow night, and I'm delighted that so many people are coming. Try to bring another person. But I also think, why can't we get a group? I mean, he needs to be profiled. And if that's a reason to get focus on the situation. If we're out there with Robbie Leonard, or even things that say about Schellenberger, that's going to bring the media out. What do you think, Robbie?
Hey, the more the merrier. Any volunteer that I can get. And, I'm going to put in the chat, and I know that the central committee as a whole can't endorse anybody, and so they can't.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, spread the word. It's, when people go in that voting booth, they have to.
Patricia Saunders. WhatsApp audio.
God, the lady from.
Look at that. You got people calling you right now saying, how do I volunteer for Robbie
Leonard? That's from Nassau. That's a lady I met. She was the driver when I went there, and then she's checking in with me.
Well, I put a link in the chat, voteRobbieLeonard.com. You can sign up to volunteer there. You can sign up for a yard sign. You can sign up. We have people writing handwritten postcards that we're mailing to voters. We're going out door to door. We'll be doing phone banks. Whatever you want to do, we want to let you do it. Because look, at the end of the day, and Ann's right, is that people know an incumbent and they might just know the name and vote for the name that they heard of before. And, just because I have like 30 people here who know me, I need to have like 40,000 votes to win. Okay, so there's a lot of people in Baltimore County who have no idea what a state's attorney does. They don't know who Schellenberger is. They don't know who Robbie Leonard is. And I need y'all to help me get that word out. So anybody who wants to sign up and volunteer, just go to voteRobbieLeonard.com.
What about, what time is this thing on Saturday? I'll do a sign waving for you there. I don't know if you think that would help.
We can talk offline about it. I don't. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll have to find out.
So we got to get people.
All right. Thank you so much for stopping by, Robbie, and thank you everyone for your questions. So that concludes our, hold on, let me make sure there's no one with this question. Okay, so yes. So now that concludes our speaker portion this evening. We are now going to move back towards the regular agenda. And today, before we start off our order of business, going through the treasurer's report and the minutes, I want to move to the District 7 appointments first. Lauren is here with us today. Welcome, Lauren. I just want to see, Paul or Julie, did you want to reintroduce Lauren before I ask her to give her 2-minute remarks and we take the swearing in oath of office portion? I know we customarily do this at the vote, but she wasn't here, so I still want to give you that opportunity to do so.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Paul. Thank you.
Yeah. So we met, I think it's about 6 weeks ago, the District 7 individuals, and we interviewed Lauren. We were happy to say this, to repeat myself, last month, we enthusiastically endorsed her, and we think she's going to be an excellent member of the Central Committee, and we couldn't be happier to have her on board, and just want to give her the floor to talk to everyone for a couple of minutes. And she wasn't, as I mentioned to those of you who were here last month, she wasn't able to participate last month because she was on call in the hospital, and we're so happy that she's able to be with us here tonight. So, Lauren, thanks for being here, and if you want to take a minute or two to just introduce yourself personally to the committee.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. I am sorry I couldn't be here at the last meeting. As you said, I was working, but now I'm able to reschedule my work days around this meeting. So basically, I'm 27 years old. I'm a registered nurse. I work in cardiac surgery. I've lived in Parkville since 2020, graduated from College Park with a bachelor's in animal science, then went back to school for nursing. So I'm pretty passionate about like mental health legislation, environmental legislation, and healthcare, obviously, and also increasing Democratic turnout and helping campaigns. I was previously the campaign manager for Mia Mason, who was running for District 1, and then also Jeff Bonner. I got involved with the North Baltimore County Democratic Club around January of last year, working as the communications director, where I manage their social media accounts, kind of coordinate their podcast and newsletter articles, and also plan events. I kind of want to have more of an influence in decisions regarding the Democratic Party in Baltimore County. I want to help improve the organization to help elect more Democrats and help pass legislation that positively impacts the people of Baltimore County. I think that I can help the organization by assisting, like I said, with social media and event planning. And with my campaign experience, I feel like I can help new Democratic candidates get started and support current elected officials. I have strong communication skills and a passion for expanding voting rights and promoting Democratic legislation. And if elected to the seat, I'd advocate for the interests of Democrats in District 7 and support Democrats throughout Baltimore County.
Well, Lauren, thank you so much. Many of us have had a chance to work alongside you already, so we're very excited. We did actually take the vote last month to ratify you in the seat, so now I will just swear you in. So if you can please unmute and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name.
I, Lauren Batdorf,
do swear or affirm.
Do swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance.
And that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance.
To the state of Maryland.
To the state of Maryland.
And support the Constitution and laws thereof.
And support the Constitution and laws thereof.
And that I will.
And that I will.
To the best of my skill and judgment.
To the best of my skill and judgment.
Diligently and faithfully.
Diligently and faithfully.
Without partiality or prejudice.
Without partiality or prejudice.
Execute the office.
Execute the office.
Of member of the Democratic State Central Committee of Maryland.
Of member of the Democratic State Central Committee of Maryland.
According to the Constitution and bylaws of this state.
According to the Constitution and bylaws of this state.
So congratulations, you are now a full Central Committee member for District 7. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Thank you, everyone.
So we will make sure that the directory is updated. And Lauren, we were in communication with each other. I'll get with you again to see what subcommittee that you want to serve on. Just letting you know that we are planning the 2022 in-person unity dinner. And so all hands are on deck on that event. So thank you so much. All right, everyone, we're going to move to the regularly scheduled agenda for this meeting. I am going to, in the absence of Katie Dot, go through our treasurer's report. So just give me a minute to bring it up on screen here. All right, you should see it there. It's also been emailed to you. So basically for February 2022, the beginning balance as of February 1st was for the administrative account was $992.86. We had a total expense of $3, and that was a service charge. There was no income and no deposits, so that left us with a ending balance for the administrative account, $989.86. For the legislative account beginning February the 1st, our balance was $41,135.89. We had a service charge of $3. We paid our rent, which was $1,250. We remitted a check for the audit, the financial audit to Earl Peak CPA for the periods of 2019 and 2020, which is required by our bylaws. It was $1,000 retainer fee. The Comcast payment was $127.14. Our NGP van fees were $23.02. And our communications for our Google space was $6.36. We had a total expenses of $2,409.52, which left us with an ending balance as of February 28th of $38,726.37. As of March 1st, our total cash on hand for the administrative account was $989.86. For the legislative account, it was $38,726.37. And so that leaves us with a total cash on hand of $39,716.23. We had a total change of $2,412.52. And altogether, $42,128.75. So that was submitted by Katie Dott in her absence. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Are there any questions concerning the financial report?
No, I just wanted to ask if any of these people, have you finished?
I'm finished.
I just want to find out if any of these people have now arrived. I've just tried to update.
Hold on, Linda. Let me get through this vote real quick, and we'll go through the.
Sure.
I move to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Second.
Thank you. It's moved by Sam. It was seconded by Danny.
Yeah.
Okay, all of those in favor of accepting the treasurer's report?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, so that is accepted and will be filed for audit. We will move to the meeting minutes. The meeting minutes were attached to the agenda from February. Please, if there are any corrections, we will make note of that now. Any corrections to the February minutes? I'll take a pause real quick.
Seeing none, I move the minutes.
Okay, thank you. It has been moved by Sam. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, George. All those in favor of accepting the meeting minutes for February, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Say nay. All right, the motion carries. The minutes are approved. Okay, so we'll take a brief second right here. Linda, let's go through the attendance. So Nina McHugh entered, Cheryl Gottlieb entered, Danita Tolson entered. You already got Nia. Jason Garber is here. Ann George is here. Jay Jalisi is here. Sam Moxley is here. Leslie Grant, she is also present. She was in the room, I guess.
Danita Tolson.
Yes, Danita.
Okay.
Jeff
Thank you.
Bonner.
Margaret Forte.
Yeah, Jeff Bonner is here. Margaret Forte is here.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone, did you get Corey Edwards? Because Corey Edwards was here as well. Okay. Is there anybody else that you have on your list that was not recorded?
The only people,
Other than we know Scott is not here, we know
Harry Benderi, I don't have is here. Arjun Hamal, I have is not here. Senator Kelly, Pat Kelly, Alejandro Ivanovich, John Hertz, Vanessa Carrington, and I have Mark Weaver, who said he wouldn't be here. Scott is not going to be here. Katie Dot, and George, of course, is here now. Let's see. Charles Sidnor, Ruben Amaya,
yeah, they're still not here.
Huh?
Yep, those people are still not here.
Jane Mangy and Charles Smith, Gary English, Cornelius Jennings, and Sebastian.
Nope, still not here.
Okay. So.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to move into the subcommittee reports. So we'll start right off with fundraising, right over to Jason. Got lots in store for the Unity Dinner, which will be an in-person event this year. Yay.
Pressure's on. All right, everybody. So we're gonna look to send out the save the date announcements, notices by April 1st. So the first thing we need to talk about is the design. Is there anyone, before we do anything further with it, is there anyone interested in helping with the design of the save the date notification?
Well, we're gonna assign that to the communications subcommittee.
That was the default. I was trying to think of a way to get them off that, but I hear no volunteers. We'll coordinate with the communications folks to come up with that. We have to put together the mailings for it. I spoke briefly with Crystal and with Katie about how many would be mailed out and putting them together. And then of course there'll be emails, which Crystal and communications will handle those. The presumptive ticket prices would be, I think, the same or similar to what last year. It's not settled yet, but it's probably going to be something along the lines of 75-35. 75 for the standard, 35 for the discounted. Sorry, I just got some text messages at the same time.
Prices are probably not going to be the same.
What's that?
I said those prices are probably not going to be exactly the same.
Okay, maybe my notes are wrong.
Costs have gone up.
Okay.
But it'll still be affordable. It's not going to be like, an outrageous price.
I understand we're going to, again, put on a silent auction. And I understand that Tracy Miller and Katie will be helping to run that. So everyone has a responsibility to try to get some items for the silent auction. This is not going to be a last second thing where we could just get them in September. So I would request that everybody reach out now, start figuring out what can be obtained and donated for that. So we need somebody right away, though, to run the ad sales. When I say run, to basically be the coordinator for the ad sales, because it's not going to be one person doing it, but some person needs to be the central person for the information and serve as a contact. So here's the awkward part of the meeting where everything is going to stop until someone volunteers themselves.
Jason is hilarious.
I mean, I will sit here all night if I have to. But seriously, we do need someone, because it can't just fall to Katie, because she does already a lot and she already is heavily involved with the Unity dinner planning and everything else. Somebody needs to take the reins on this to help Katie and Crystal primarily with those items.
So
Okay,
I
I'll step
have
up
a
a little bit.
suggestion.
Yeah.
Can
Yes.
each of us on the central committee ask at least one or two persons that we know, or even including ourselves, to do an ad? That would make it easier on everyone.
Well, we're not talking about that. We need someone on the central committee to be responsible for helping with that as a task.
To collect them all. everyone has the responsibility to go. You raise a very good point, and I was not clear on this, so I'm glad you did bring it up. That yes, everybody has the responsibility to go turn to those that they know to help drive the ad sales anyway. But there needs to be one person who's helping. So this doesn't fall into Crystal's lap, and it doesn't fall into Katie's lap exclusively. Obviously, Katie has to have some role in this. It would be ideal if we can get someone to move forward and help her. And since we have like 40 people, it would be ideal if somebody else can help in that regard.
You can put me down as helping.
What's that?
You can put George down as helping. I'll help Katie out.
I did also have you down for slideshow, but I think you probably already suspected that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So the themes have been suggested, whether at any meeting or by talking to me or Crystal. There were 3 that had been identified, and one of them was, basically we covered some of this last time, but I'll just say make it the reunity dinner, in the sense that we're reunifying after being apart for a couple of years. That we have another one to look to the future. And then another one was look what Baltimore County Democrats get done. And those are not obviously specifically crafted themes that we're going to run with, but just the idea for the theme moving forward. And does anybody have any other ideas of what theme that they would want for this year's Unity dinner?
I like that reunity coming back, reunity dinner back in business.
Yeah.
I like that too.
Yeah, so if you could actually type it in the chat so we could get it verbatim. What we'll end up doing for this portion, what we're trying to do is, because we had like a little small group meeting to kind of talk about what we've done in past years. So what we're going to do is take all of the ideas that come forward, and the main planning committee is going to end up voting out of all of those ideas. So we want to give the full central committee an opportunity just to submit some ideas. And then also, again, another thing that I think I'll just go ahead and do here is we'll create maybe a Google Doc or some sort of form with all of the tasks that we have lined up, because this is an in-person event. So we're really going to need all hands on deck. For our virtual events, the 5 people that we had starting from those past planning meetings could successfully run a virtual event. Before in-person event, it's going to require a lot more hands so that it goes smoothly. So we'll send out a document for folks to sign up to let us know how you can lend a hand to help, whether that's volunteering this help set up on day of, whether that's helping to, like I said, we have to design the save the date, the flyers, social media posts, whether that's helping to call. I know last year it was like a handful of us that were calling around folks to buy tickets. So we really, and thank you, I'm seeing the suggestions come in for the theme. And also for speakers, suggestions on speakers as well, because we're planning to put the save the dates out within the next couple of weeks. MDP has already reached out to all of the central committees to get our dates so they know what our date is, so that other central committees don't try to plan an event on the same day. And the goal,
give the date?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It will be September 22nd, 22, right ahead of the general election. And it will be at the Martin Valley Mansion in Hunt Valley. That is where the prior deposit was. So we're just using a deposit from when the event was supposed to be held the last time. So if you have a special skill, and again, as Jason mentioned, we need silent auction. So if you are a person that, has connections with nonprofits or any other organizations, or you just have that special skill of finding things that could be donated to the silent auction, please let us know. We'll also need hands on deck to help run the silent auction. So that's actually on the day of, where we're walking around, taking the bids, getting people to get up from their seat and go to wherever the silent auction table will be. So yeah, start thinking about that. I'll try to, as a follow-up to this meeting, I'll try to send out an email with all of the list of responsibilities so we can get folks signed up.
Yeah, and I was playing phone tag today with people at Martin's. Unfortunately, I can't give any update because we never actually got a hold of one another. But other than that, no, nothing else. It's just a matter of getting these things lined up as much in advance as possible to make life easier for the rest of us come August, September.
Yeah. Okay, I see hands up, Ann and Danielle and George.
Do you want to do baskets? Would you like a basket of a themed basket? My cousin does this for you. One of the charities that her daughter works.
Like raffling off a basket. Mm-hmm.
Well, you could raffle it off, or it could be in the silent auction.
Oh, okay.
Basket, or when is the date? Or a Halloween thing basket, or a Christmas basket. She does all kinds of themes. They're big now, and we get donations say, well, we're doing a dog basket. Does anyone PetSmart want to donate something? The problem is, since we're not a charity, it's hard to get things like that.
Let's go ahead and address this right now, honey. I'm on set and I stepped off just because that's what this message.
Anyway, I just want to know, would that be something worth putting some time in? I could volunteer to do a few baskets, or would that be not appropriate? I have trouble with auction items. I don't want any more junk in my house. Because eventually everything becomes junk. I'm hauling it out. When you get older, you're getting ready to die. You got to get that stuff out of here. You do not want to bring somebody else's beautiful picture. I bought a picture at auction for when Sachin was running, and PETA donated it. I paid for it. I said, "You keep it. Just put me in your will, so I get it then." Anyway, that's the end. I just want to know if that's of interest.
Well, things like lunch with Johnny O or whatever. There are certain things that don't take a lot of space. I love that, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to cut in. I'm just interjecting that there are things that you can auction off that don't take up space.
That's great. We could do lunch with Izzy. We could do lunch with Julian. We could do lunch after we finish with them with the suit. We'll see how anxious they are to help out.
Yeah, do a little lobbying, with them while we're at.
I think those that are involved in some of these, the 4 More group and the allies better not be the ones that ask him. That's all I gotta say. Anyway.
Danielle, I see you have a hand up.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that is a great idea. And I know a lot of people like the baskets with liquor. The libations basket is a very big hit, and a lot of people would sign up for that. Also, the movie night package basket would be a good one.
Yep.
And also the relaxation basket. You might have, you could have a his or her robe in it, and some lotions and something that you're going to relax, and a candle. So those are things I know when we do auctions, people love that kind of stuff. I was also going to say, what type of speaker are we looking for? Because you want to make sure you approach, are we looking for a woman, a man, or it doesn't matter, or any special topic that we decide we want to, I don't want to go look for people and then may not be the right person.
Well, we're going to have another Unity dinner meeting shortly.
Mm-hmm.
And sometime I think in the next 2 weeks or so, and we could discuss that because we're going to tie it to the theme. I mean, we have ideas now for the theme. It seems like everyone's kind of coalesced around one central loose idea as to its official name at some point. We'll have to come up with that. But then we can figure out, who would be appropriate in light of the theme, and then go from there. That's how I was envisioning it, at least.
What's the date again?
I'm going to put it in the chat. 9/22.
The Unity dinner is September 22nd. The Unity dinner committee meeting is up in the air, but it'll be sometime probably the next 2 weeks.
Danny.
Yes.
Your hand's up.
Yeah, well, I had a couple, all kinds of different things came to mind. If you look in the chat, I put some things in there like, let me see, let me get this here. Yeah, like a reconnecting in unity, Baltimore County Democratic State Central Committee, Unity Dinner, September 22nd, 2022. I think it should be something where we grabbing people, reconnecting in unity, which is part of what our dinner is. So, try to have something to go along with that to kind of reach and grab people to get excited about coming together. So that's
yes. Anybody who contributed an idea in the chat, I have put that down in my notes,
great,
including what you wrote, Danny.
Gotcha. And also dinner for two at Linwood's could be a great.
All right. Well, in the interest of time, thank you all, and I'll be in touch with the Unity Dinner Committee shortly.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason. I'll turn it over to Liz for party building.
Thanks. So it's now it's the Ides of, is today the Ides of March the 15th. For those of you who might have, I don't know, studied Caesar or whatever that was. Yeah. But anyway, so happy Ides of March and beware. Anyway, I'm talking about where we are in March because the phone banking lists are available until the end of March. So just a reminder, if you had gone through the training and done some calls and people have told me, oh yeah, I did 50 or whatever, if you want to add another 50 or we can, and actually, I'm so sorry, I meant to, because this is administered through MD DIMS, I don't know today where we stand on how many are left or whatever. I have to get that info from Justin. Of course, if we were doing it on our own, it wouldn't be as efficient, but we could at least go in and count. But anyway, just a reminder that if you want to continue to register voters over the phone, I'm hoping that we can possibly get some canvassing going, especially on the east side. But then again, I might see what Scott and his team want to tell us. There were 21,000 possible voters that we did not have their phone numbers, and so we would need to canvass. And with COVID kind of going away, hopefully at least a lot more than it was, and the weather, it's going to be in the 60s coming up. So that's sort of kind of like the next step for the voter registration. But I was just wondering. And then I also want to mention that I am finally calling another meeting of the committee, hopefully for next week or sometime the next week and a half, so we can get going with that extra month or whatever it is for the until the actual primary. What will we need to do? How will that affect us post primary and so forth? So I'll be interested in how we deal with that. But hey, it's an extra month to advertise our primary and hopefully get all those unaffiliateds that really want to be Democrats with us. But just a question to throw out to the group very, very briefly. Are we ready to actually have people come back into Allegheny and maybe do an in-person phone bank? And if so, do we have Wi-Fi and all that? Any interest in that? I mean, that's something that I could easily throw together before the end of the month while we still have this list. And Saturday afternoon worked really well. Early Saturday night, that worked really well for people. We've got all these meetings in the evenings on the weekdays. But if people think, it's worth it, I can go ahead and throw that together by the time we have our next party building committee. I would want to already have that underway. But I don't know. And that's partially, of course, for Crystal. Can we come back to Allegheny and do stuff?
So definitely we can. I actually, in the last meeting, proposed doing that or open house on April the 1st. So that will be the first Saturday in April. It's also April Fool's Day. Okay. So so definitely we can set something up. We can bring back in person. We do have Wi-Fi there. And I think we have adequate space to, you know, if we still need to social distance and we still have masks and things, if we still want to wear the masks. I think it's just getting a date on the calendar. People have started to call the party line for volunteering, and I have been writing those names and emails down and also directing them to go fill out that volunteer with us form on the website. So yeah, definitely this is something we can do with Central Committee members. And then if we end up getting a date, I'll send out a blast to all of the new folks that called in within the past couple of weeks that are eager to volunteer.
Oh, great. That's great to hear. Yeah, it's good to have something tangible for them to do. So I'm thinking maybe what pending any other finding out that if there's anything else going on, but maybe that last Saturday, so that would be a week before. So we would still, I don't know if 1 million people would come to it, but at least it would get us going, get us back into the into the swing of things. And Danielle says, can we do a watch party for the Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson hearing? That sounds kind of cute. Mm-hmm. You know, in terms of like Democratic Party spirit and supporting this historic I don't know, well, I see Danielle's hand up, so I'll sit back and maybe that's what she was gonna talk about, but I love the idea without knowing anything about it.
Okay, I'm sorry, I had to turn my meeting down. I'm multitasking. So what I was thinking, we're doing a big campaign nationally regarding Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, as far as ensuring that she gets confirmed and showing our support, especially as women. And so we're doing a series of watch parties all over. We can join groups that are already in. I didn't know if this is something we could do, if this is a great opportunity, but I'm just saying something we can do as far as, because I believe we're supposed to be informing and educating. And then also because we should be informing and educating, what I'm hearing from different individuals, especially our young people, a lot of people are talking about not voting this midterms. And this may be the last democratic or democracy midterm that we have. And so with that being said, I don't look at this as a, a Republican, a Democratic, or independent midterm. I look at this as a democracy versus autocracy. And people need to know what's happening, what the Democrats are doing. A lot of people don't think the administration is doing anything. And I know we know that they're doing a lot of things. So I think we need to let the voters know why they should come out and vote during the 2022 midterms. And a lot of these volunteers want to come and give them something to do. But when we set up our voter registration, or we have our Zooms, whichever way we're going to do, if we're going to do hybrids, not just register people to vote, but let's do some voter education, because I'm telling you, we're sleeping. A lot of other people in a lot of other states are getting this done. And it just seems like here in Maryland, it's not too much going on regarding this midterms. And a lot of people are confused, and we're not telling anybody who to vote, but we're just letting them know what's at stake. And we think that people know, and they don't. So just like when you're in school and when you're in college, they always tell you to treat your audience as if they're third or second graders, or in layman terms that they don't know. We have to assume that people don't know what's happening and going on. So it's our job to get these Democrats moving, but we're not looking at as Democrats now. We're looking at it as the full body of Republican, Independent, and Democrats, because this is about the rights, just human rights for everyone.
Mm-hmm. All right, Danny, and then Linda. You're on mute. Danny Blunt, you're on mute.
Got you. Liz, what I wanted to ask you, and Crystal as well, about the Democratic clubs. I know that our particular Democratic club, did you guys get our application and everything in so that we could become chartered?
Yeah, I received your District 10's application. Thank you for filling it out.
Okay, great. Okay, that's it. What I had.
And I will say that the members from the Democratic clubs have been participating in our Central Committee phone banks. So shout out to all of the Democratic clubs that have been sending members. Linda.
Yes. Well, first, let me say, Liz, that if you have extra people that have some time on their hand and they want to stay active, you know where to send them in this direction. Okay, so that's number one. But number two is I wanted to find out, have there been any campaigns that have stated that they are going to want to access that space? Because it started occurring to me this week, gee, just about the same time that we'll want to finally go back to the space that we've been paying for in whole or in part for 2 whole years now, other people are also going to start saying, well, can we use your space? So have any of them stepped forward yet?
Not formally, but there is one committee did reach out saying that they anticipate having interest in using it, but it has no formal request. It was just will we allow operations in person?
So during the primary, because we know we have an awful lot of Democrats that are running and running for that top seat, are we going to be letting that space out to one group versus another? I mean, I can understand doing it for the general.
Oh, most of them aren't talking about, this is post-primary.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So just to come back into my report just a little bit, I'm not sure, what a watch party for a hearing entails, if there's probably going to be several days of hearings, but it sounds like Danielle and her group are probably developing kits or, like here's what it means and what you do it on the opening day or whatever. So, and I also looked up that it's on March 21st when it starts. So, but I really love the idea of, this is why we have Biden, so we can have a new fabulous Supreme Court person. So anyway, I could follow up with Danielle for more of those. I'm really kind of excited about that idea.
Aren't they in the daytime though, most of the hearings?
Well, that was another question.
Yeah,
So.
they are.
Yeah. Because I was going to say what we did have the last election and the election before that, we did organize, however, later on, just before the general election, debate watch parties, some of which, a couple of which we held at Pikesville Hilton and some other places that were, pretty enjoyable and well attended. So
yeah, we can definitely start looking into one of those things. I will let you know that the Burgers and Brews gubernatorial forum for Baltimore County is tentatively scheduled for the 31st of May at the brewery in Hunt Valley. MDP will be working with me to get that information out, so more to come on that. It's an in-person event, and I believe they're going to try to also hybrid stream live. That was still up in the air, but there are no that's all the information. It will probably start at 6:30 or 7. But once those final details come out, they're actually having one right now in another part of the state. But I will get that information out to everyone. To answer court, go ahead.
What date did you say?
It's tentative for the 31st of May.
Oh, Memorial Day.
Memorial weekend. Well, no, it's the Tuesday. So Memorial Day is not that day. Right?
It technically is, but yeah.
I think it's going to be actually observed on that Monday. So it's the day after Memorial Day on a Tuesday. Yeah. And we had a whole conversation about that, that being so close to the holiday, but that's they had to go with where space was and when all of the gubernatorial candidates, the governor's candidates would be available, and that's what date they all landed on. So it was really the candidate's choice. To answer Corey's question in the chat, will we charge for the use of the space to help offset for the cost? So yes, customarily the campaigns pay what is called the fair market rate for space in the general area. So we'll be in Towson. I know we did early on develop a policy for reservations, but that was really a nominal fee for clubs to help us with cleaning because of COVID. We wanted to make sure that we could afford to have professional cleaning. So yeah, we definitely will be charging campaigns to use the space for their operations. And they will be responsible for, like, you know, if they need additional phone lines and all of that. I'm sure that people are now using voice over IP on their computers, so we don't envision that happening, because back in the day, we had to get like landlines, and we do not have landlines in the office right now. It's only the internet connection. Let me see. Okay, so that is pretty much it. Are we looking for our school board and our election board candidates, because we need to know the GOP? Yeah, so the communication subcommittee is going to be working on information page to, my computer is updating, so I hope it doesn't crash here. So they're going to be, communication subcommittee is going to be developing, as we did before, a ballot guide to provide information on who all is running and what. So the answer to that question is yes, Danielle. Linda?
Are we going to talk about some of the event fairs and festivals and events coming up?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm going to get to you for that.
Okay.
Next. I just want to make sure that I answered all the questions in the chat regarding, you know, the party building stuff. All right, so let's move to communications and then fairs and festivals. George, Samay?
Oh, yes, George. Yes, Samay, as you guys know, Samay is in class on Tuesdays. But I'd just like to give a shout out to our current subcommittee members, Samay, Jeff Bonner, Ruben Amaya, Katie Dodd, and myself. We meet the third Monday of the month. So we met February the 21st. And we talked about a lot of things that we would like to do. But as you guys know, information changes rapidly as we speak. But we had actually talked about doing things like connecting with other associations and to put the information on our calendar. You've probably seen some different things posted already. We also wanted to do a link, a QR code for candidates running, put them on our website so you could sort of scan and take you to the information that they're doing. Also, giving links to early voting sites and information. I guess you guys are aware that the primary has been moved already from June into July. So it's, but anyway, just information as it comes out. Okay, we want to continuously register target high schools. And since schools are opening back up now, and well, they've already been open, but kind of approach high schools, age of voter engagement. Okay. Also, we want to be able to do recruitment for our central committee and let people know that they can actually run for our central committee as well. And also plan an open house some kind of way where the headquarters plan to be open in April. I think Crystal mentioned that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but just things that we continue to get out to the community. And as I mentioned, we have 5 folks on our communication committee, but we are welcoming more to come and join, because information is coming out so fast, and we have to get it out to the public. And I guess we need all the help we can. Sometimes things kind of fall by the wayside, but we're doing a good job. Just want to give the shout out to our members so far, and people just continue to do what they do, post stuff, share stuff, and that's how we're going to get our information out. So that kind of covers us for the time being.
Awesome. Are there any questions for George and communications?
Yes, I have a question for George.
Okay.
Hi, George. So I'm sure others are on here as well, but as one of the steakhouse holders with the White House, We get information, usually before they go on and speak. After they come on, they'll have the plan and everything written out. Would you like some of that information? You guys can determine what you want to put in, because these are things that some of our voters don't know that it's actually happening, going on. For example, the $10 billion with the HBCU bills, what's happening with the women's fair pay monies and things of that nature. So it's good for them to hear these different things that the Democratic Party is doing, to know that, you know, I voted for them for this. But a lot of these people don't look at MSNBC, CNN, and they're working 2 and 3 jobs or just trying to get through life. They're not able to know this information. So would you guys like me to send that to the communications team?
Of course, that's awesome. Just send it to myself, Katie, or Samay, and we can get it up on our social media and get it out. Because all information is good. I mean, it's excellent. We are doing a lot of good things. We just need to, like you just brought up, we need to let our constituents know all the good things that are going on. And like you say, we have a problem sometime in our party as getting information out. So
Exactly.
sharing what you have with us would be a plus.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, so we'll turn it over to fairs and festivals. Linda.
Okay, well, thank you. First of all, we have a jam-packed season ahead of us. So if there are people that are looking for things to do, there's going to be a ton of things to do. First of all, we have coming up on April 30th and May 1st, the Towson Festival. And we're going to be there for both days. We've already purchased what it was an outrageously expensive booth. And so that will be on 2 days. And we will need people to staff it for at least 3 shifts each day. And that means setup is going to be around 8:30 in the morning. Breakdown is around 6:30 in the evening. All right. So in addition to those 2 days, that's on a Saturday and Sunday. The following Saturday, there is the Ricerstown Blooming Arts Festival that's going to be held on the front of Franklin Middle School. And we've already purchased the booth for that. So we need, again, at least 3 shifts of people to cover that for about the same time period. In addition, we have coming up on June 18th, 2 different Juneteenth events. And that will be at Juneteenth at the Banneker Center, and Juneteenth event that's going to be taking place, I think, over near Randallstown Library that usually takes place there. So we want to make sure that we're at least providing coverage at one or the other of those events. We, of course, will have participation, as we always do each year, in the July 4th parade. I don't have all the specifics yet. They haven't put them online yet, but the ones that we usually cover are Dundalk and Catonsville. And of course, last year was the first of what will hopefully be many well-attended parades in Randallstown. So we want to make sure that we provide coverage for at least those 3. In addition, on September 17th, that's the reason why I didn't necessarily raise my hand, volunteer to do more stuff, because on September 17th, we have the African American Cultural Festival that we have to cover. And that's an all-day event. Getting a little closer to the 2 weeks before the primary and the 2 weeks before the general election, that's when we do the car caravans and sign waves. Okay, so for the 2 weeks now, we're talking about 2 weeks before July 19th through the 19th. And we're talking about the 2 weeks before November 8th through November 8th. The car caravans and sign waves. So we have lots of things, a whole calendar of things to do. And of course, I would be remiss to mention the fact that, of course, we have a nonpartisan ballot initiative that all of you have been asked to support and give your signatures for 4 more additional county council slots, districts in Baltimore County. And you may have heard about it. It's been on television, on radio, newspapers, and so forth. We had a fantastic press conference on March 3rd at Randallstown Community Center. It was well attended and well covered in the media. And now we're distributing petitions. And I'm asking for each of you to please take a few of the petitions and get them out, because we need to gather 10,000 signatures by May 10th, unless they push that date back now. We'll still have to gather our signatures. Well, we need 4,000 by May 10th and the rest of almost 12,000 by August. So we're going to need lots of help from everyone that shares in the desire to have greater access to your county council person, to have more accountability at the redistricting level, because the way it's been written, all of the citizens of Baltimore County will have the opportunity for more hearings at an earlier stage in the process and greater access to reviewing any redistricting maps before the 11 districts are drawn up. In addition to that, we're asking for 4 more people because we want to increase the productivity level of a county council by having more working committees and more individuals available to be appointed to committees. And last but not least of all, more representative government that looks like Baltimore County. So we hope to increase the diversity of Baltimore County by having more than 1 woman out of 7 and more than 1 minority out of 7. That's 14% in each case, when in both cases we should have at least 50-50 of Baltimore County council seats should be female, and at least 50-50 based on the numbers should be minority at this point, 2 years after the census. So I'm hoping that all of you will be supportive of what is really could be a historic year in the history of Baltimore County. After 67 years, please come out and support all of these different events. We at 4 More are also going to be covering the event tomorrow. So if you want to, at the one that's going to be at Jilly's restaurant that Robbie was mentioning earlier. So if you want campaign, if you want to be part of this nonpartisan campaign, please come by and pick up petitions tomorrow and sign petition. Get your name on a piece of paper and take some petitions with you. And we also have already ordered t-shirts and all the rest of that signage. So we want you to be part of it. And we're also going to be present at a Women's History event that Aisha Khan is putting on March 26th, as well as we're going to be covering the Northwest Baltimore County Chamber of Commerce event on March 24th, which is the kickoff, the ribbon cutting for the new Marriott Hotel in Owings Mills. So everything that the county, that the Central Committee is going to be doing, 4 More is going to more than likely be at all those same locations also, and then some extras, many more extras. So please show up and be part of this history making event.
Thank you. Any questions for Linda? Danny, you have your hand up.
Yes, Linda, I didn't see what the outcome was with the HB 1089. Could you give us an update on that?
Well, it has not gone to vote yet. It's still in committee. There are some individuals who have said that they're very interested in writing, and many people have written in to the Ways and Means Committee. I will tell you that today the election subcommittee did meet, and they took up 3 different bills. None of the 3 were House Bill 1089. So unless it's brought up.
For those who are viewing online who may not know what that is, can you just say what the House Bill?
House Bill 1089 was a bill that was introduced by Delegate Sheila Ruth, and it would allow for the electronic collection of signatures for petitions, statewide petitions and local charter petitions like ours. And it shouldn't have been necessary, but it became necessary because the State Board of Elections decided that after allowing electronic collection of signatures, in 2020 and also in 2021, they decided that they weren't going to allow it a third year in a row in 2022 because they declared COVID over. And so we tried to make emphasize that this doesn't have anything to do with COVID. Yes, for COVID reasons, definitely. But people live different now than they used to live. We don't have all these shopping malls. Churches, many of them haven't met for 2 years. Many people don't want strangers coming up to their door or even at a subway. So because we don't interact with each other in the same way, it's important that people be able to sit in the privacy of their homes and read and reread the language of the proposed petition and then make a decision to sign it. And so that's what we were hoping for. That's what the bill was all about. But for whatever reason, it has not moved beyond committee yet. Today, however, they did discuss a bill that is near and dear to the Central Committee that Senator Lamb introduced, which was to limit the appointments to vacant positions. So I have not heard what the outcome of that was, but that was heard today. And they were, it was introduced last year and the previous year. They want to basically change the power of the state central committees.
Okay, George and then Liz.
Okay, two things. I just when I named our communication subcommittee, I kind of left off one of our hardest workers, Danny Blanc.
Oh.
But I wanted to mention him as well because he's, like you say, we all in the trenches working, and I don't want to kind of leave people on the side. But Danny, hard worker and everything. Also, just to kind of add to what Linda was saying, when we out doing the 4 more seats taking signatures, they want us to get 12,000 signatures because people may sign wrongly. But we have an app on our phone that we can actually look up voter information, which is very important. So we'll be asking you for your name and your birth date when we're out and about.
And your correct address.
And that way we can look it up on voters lookup through the election board and get the way that you actually initially signed when you got your voter's card. Because I wasn't sure when I did mine. I said, let me look it up. And when I registered, I used my middle name, George Edward White. And that has to be on that signature. So I would have normally just put George White and it would have been kicked out. So so when we're out and about, we will be asking for your birth date along with your, name and all that. But the main thing, we will ask you for your birthday.
Yeah, so the campaign committee is called 4 more, exclamation mark, for Baltimore County, with both 4 is written as number 4. But the shorthand name that we're using is just Vote 4 More. So if you go to vote4more.org, the site that George was just referencing, and calendars of events and ways that you can get involved and all kinds of things, go to vote4more.org, and you can go directly to the state board website and see how you're currently on record, both name-wise and your address and where you're supposed to be voting and all that good stuff. So we have a bunch of very helpful links at that site.
Liz.
Yeah, I just wanted to briefly mention since HB 1089 came up, indeed, some of us have been writing to the elections subcommittee. I don't know how much more time we have, especially after they've obviously been focusing on these other bills today. But actually what I think I'll do is I'll just upload a Word document I made with a sample email. And it's got all the lists of it's got the list of the election subcommittee. And if anyone is intrigued and interested, because this isn't just for the 4 more, situation. I mean, we need electronic signatures on petitions. And so it's a good thing if you're so inclined. And also anyone here from District 12, in terms of elections, I think, I don't remember. Well, I'll upload it and you can kind of see. I think Jessica Feldmark may be on elections. I know Eric Ebersol is not, but perhaps he can.
But he is on Ways and Means.
he is on Ways and Means, and perhaps he can lobby his colleagues on that subcommittee. I don't really know how it works, but we should do what we can because it's a sensible and good bill. So just wanted to mention that.
Right,
Yeah,
Jessica
and if
Felt,
you
Mark,
can-
and
if you
Michelle
email,
Guyton as well.
make sure that all of the Central Committee members get it in their email as well, if it's easier.
Yeah, Michelle Guyton is also on Ways and Means.
Okay. Danielle.
Linda, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure the bill that you were talking about that Senator Lim had, is that
Lamb.
Lynn, is that the bill to lessen the power of the Central Committee?
Yeah, it would be to state that if people have been elected or if a position becomes vacant and it's a certain amount of time before the next election, that we cannot just name and fill that position unless it's within a very short period of the after the election or before an election. Other than that, if it's any time in between the stated period, it will always have to be filled through a special election. Yes,
well, I guess that's because most of the people, that the work that we've been doing for almost 6 or 7 years now regarding the dual seats on the Central Committee, I think because a lot of those individuals have already gotten their friends and family in office now, they need to have some type of control. And to me, it's really all about the people selecting who they want to represent them, not the legislators selecting who they want to come in. So, I just feel that that's just another way to have some control in that respect. So if you could please keep us abreast and let us know when they're having some hearings so that if we can't make it, because we all can't be everywhere, but at least let the people know what's happening and going on so that we can make sure we can have some different people from different organizations in place to attend these hearings. Because it's sad after a lot of the people who are in office who are actually doing dual roles, and in some cases not even voting on behalf of the people they're supposed to be representing. And now they want to curtail some of the roles and responsibility of the Central Committee because we're actually doing some real work now. I just find that as an issue. And if anybody has an issue with that, I think we all need to get together and have a conversation and talk about what we really need to be doing as Democrats. Because when illegal women voters, when Mom Demand Action and all of these other organizations have their days in Annapolis and these state days, I'm sitting on a lot of these meetings. And a lot of times I'm hearing Democrats say, oh, well, I live in a district that's majority Republican, so I have to vote this way. Well, why not you just run as a Republican as opposed to running as a Democrat if you're not going to do the job of the people who elected you? And that's my 5 cents.
Thank you very much. All right, well, that concludes the subcommittee reports for this evening. I'm just going to ramble off a few of my required announcements, and then I will go ahead and conclude because we are at 12 minutes over our time. As you may have already heard, our Deputy Treasurer Barbara Goldman has resigned effective March the 14th amid an email circulating the media concerning comments that were made regarding support of African-American or Black candidates' ability to win in the governor's race. MDP did issue a statement, so I just wanted to make it clear that the resignation did actually happen because we saw comments on Facebook and things like that. So Barbara did step down. As you may already be aware, the Maryland Democratic Party, in tandem with the National Democratic Training Committee, is still doing the candidate training series. There'll be another one kicking off on March the 16th at 8 p.m., March the 30th at 7:30 p.m. You can go on to mddems.org and register there. And it's also advertised on Mobilize Us. We do, as Liz already stated, are still doing the phone banks. All blue in 22 is the theme of the March voter outreach phone banks that are going to continue across the state of Maryland. So please, we're encouraging everyone from Baltimore County Central Committee to encourage your friends and family who want to volunteer to sign up so we can knock out our required list. They'll be gathering again virtually on Thursdays at 6 p.m. for the evening phone bank. And once you sign up, you'll receive a detail. We'll go ahead and post that again on our Facebook page again. the link to that. And there's always going to be training provided for people who've never phone banked before. That's also advertised on the Maryland Democratic Party website and Mobilize Us under MD Dems. The Maryland Democratic Youth Voter Turnout Project is being sponsored by the Young Democrats of Maryland. That's going to kick off very soon. They're going to be basically doing outreach for young voters for the very first time. So kudos to Norween Bodwe and the team at Maryland Young Dems. If there's anybody available, if you have young folks, please, that you know want to get involved, please encourage them to support. They'll be gathering on Zoom at 1 p.m. on the third Saturday of each month to do outreach for young voters. There'll be a brief training, and then they'll be asking young voters to sign up to help with the polls and all kinds of outreach to get young voters, young Democrats involved with the party. The next Baltimore County Board of Elections meeting is going to happen on March the 23rd. That their meeting is typically around 8:30 in the morning. I did provide the link to how you can sign up in the agenda. We'll also make sure we post that on our social media channels. And as already was mentioned by Robbie, the filing deadline has been extended to April the 15th due to, again, all of the redistricting debacles going on around the state, not just the county, but even on the legislative level as well. And the primary is pushed back to July the 19th. Again, you cannot just show up to the Board of Elections to file. You have to make an appointment. So please email or call. Don't just show up, whether you're going to be filing at the local Board of Elections or the state. I see Danny's hand, George's hand, and then we'll conclude the meeting. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, well, actually, I was just going to comment on the issue at the Maryland Democratic Party of the resignation. It was good that did take place. I wanted to also shout out to Robbie Leonard, who was going to bring it to the floor for that to take place. I'm glad that it occurred. It just made me remember back in 2018 when Ben Jealous was running for office and how, that turned out. So, making comments like that and not supporting, the candidates that come out of the, especially that comes out of the primary, it should be all hands on deck to try to get our candidate across the line. And we see what happened then. So hopefully those type of things that happened back then, we've learned from it and we can do better this time around.
Thank you. We'll go with George. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, just to add to the phone banking, I found when I got on the phone bank, it's an awesome tool, but what helps a lot of times, the calls you make, a lot of them are disconnected. And I just want to reiterate, don't get depressed, because that's a way that the Maryland Democratic Party can purge the databases. So I was on there for a couple of hours, and I think I went through like 20 or 30 calls where it said disconnected, out of service, but once you answer the question, the database takes your information and takes you to another phone number. But what it does do, it purges the system, so that number will never be called again. So when you participate, don't get depressed, just keep calling. And that's it for me.
Thank you so much. Well, we are at the end of the meeting. And so I want to thank everyone for your diligence and patience. Again, we will be sending out follow-up emails on the many items that we talked about today. We have a lot of significant dates coming up, so please just continue to check your email. I will also note, since I see some folks on the call, Dr. J, I need your email. Your email is kicking back. Also, if anybody has been in communication with Vanessa Carrington, I've tried to reach out. I have been unsuccessful. I'm not receiving, her email is also bouncing back. She's not being responsive. So I was reaching out because we haven't heard from her, seen her in quite some time. And so I was reaching out of concern. So if anyone knows her, if she's okay, or if you can reach out and we know if we have another email address, I want to be able to do that. And also there's another, John Hert's email is kicking back as well. So if you have relationships with those individuals, if you can tell them to please send any new contact information, because they're not getting our meeting materials or anything because the emails are kicking back. All right. And if you ever run into a situation yourself where you're not getting emails, please make sure you check back with us, because we do the last published directory. We're going to have a new directory coming out because we are going to add Lauren. So that'll be another opportunity for you to let us know if there have been any changes in your contact information. And Dr. J, if you could just type it in the chat.
I just did.
Okay. All right.
I sent you both my email addresses that I normally use.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. And I sent a direct message. So.
Oh, I got it. Thank you. All right.
Yep.
All right. That's it, everyone. So George, is your hand back up, or is it from last time? Okay. All right. Can we entertain a motion to adjourn, please?
Well, let me just say, I'll hopefully see most of you tomorrow, and come get your petitions, and also I'll have t-shirts available.
Okay. And George, were you waving again for something?
Oh, let's see. Oh, no, that was last time.
Okay. All right. All right. So, Matt.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Danny. Okay. No second needed. All those in favor, you can hang up. If not, you can stay on by yourself.
Adios, everyone.
Okay,
Good night. Good night, all.
Bye-bye.
Adios. Happy Trails fighting a good fight, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Same to you.
Good night.
Yeah.